Alright, guys, welcome to my Vancouver regional recap for you. Now, I want to do a little. For the way the videos will work is I want to do like a little backstory about how the deck came to be, a quick tournament report, and then like a list of how you beat all like the common matchups. I am posting this on my U150 channel, so please check out those other videos and check out U150 because it's really fun. So, anyways, so this deck actually was spawned from the deck that you see in front of you, or rather, the deck that I played in Vancouver was spawned from this one, and this one was kind of a we built it as kind of like a counter, be all, end all. You're going to beat only Gardevoir, only Volcanion, and like you have like a fighting chance against other stuff because of Koko spread. I played this. I played this to a top four in a Spokane Cup, which is kind of like winning a challenge in Alaska. Nobody cares. So I played it. It was successful. It beat Guardia like it was supposed to. It beat. It didn't really beat Volcanion consistently, but it did have a good matchup there. And then it also had kind of a good matchup against everything else. But the more and more we played the Volcanion matchup, the more and more we were like, okay, this is not like the best Volcanion matchup, and we definitely could improve it. So we were like, okay, what else is Volcanion, like what does Volcanion struggle against? And Volcanion actually struggles mightily against Zoroark, we realized, because they kind of want to go into the baby Zoroark to like trade efficient prizes with you, and that means benching a whole lot of steam ups. So they have to use steam up and fill their bench, and you're one-shotting them, and blah 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 blah. So we decided to take Seeking out, add Bisharp, tested that for a little bit, and then we realized we were trying to like slowly build Zoroark with a Bishop tech. So that's why I settled on the list we did, because we went from this monstrosity slowly to the other one. So I'll show you here what that list looks like, and there you go. There is the list I played in Vancouver. I would change probably about 10 cards from this list. There's a lot that I hated, a lot that I liked, I'll go over that here in a sec. But this is the 60 I played. Quickly gonna go through my games. I don't want to spend too long on it because I hate long tournament reports where people are talking about games you don't care about. They just kind of want to hear your thoughts on the deck. Round 1 I played against Joshua Toms. He was playing Gardevoir, and game 1 of round 1 I prized my one and only Bisharp, and that was really awful because it's almost unwinnable that way. So I lost that one. Game 2 I slaughtered him, and then game 3 like I was in favorable position when time was called. So got a tie right off the bat. Round 2 was against Sean Timmons, who ended up top 8ing today. I don't know how he's I'm recording this while top 8's going on, so I don't know how he's doing right now, but he ended up top 8ing, which was awesome. He was playing a Galissapod Garb. I don't remember much about it, but I do remember that game 3, I had one prize left on turn 3, and I couldn't take it. So we ended up tying. It was really close. It's a really close matchup. Round 3, I played against Guillermo Mancilla from California. He was playing Vika Bulu, which is actually supposedly a good matchup for Zoroark, Bisharp. It's a really good matchup. And like game 3, I got out 4 Zoras, and then like just didn't find like 2 Zoroarks back to back, so I could never get the breakout. So I lost that one. So I started 0-1-2, and I was just like, "Oh, we're gonna do some fun stuff tomorrow. It'll be great. Like, let's start planning." But then I went on a tear and won 6 in a row. Round 4 was against Wesley Cox. He was playing Galissapod. So like I said, that matchup's actually pretty alright. In that game, I copied Tapu Fini a lot, and I took like a lot of snipe prizes. So that was really nice. Round 5 was against Garrett Dals. Oh boy, Garrett Dals something. But he was playing Ninetales, and that matchup is just like a slaughter because like it can get one shot by Bisharp, or if you Koko spread, Zoroark can copy the 160 on Ninetales GX, and with a choice band shot him back. So you can get shot from both sides. Round 6 was against Travis Nunlist. He was playing Drampa Garb, and I just remember him bricking a lot. the Trample Guard was also just like a really good matchup for this deck because you copy Berserk and just go crazy. And they can't pitch too many items because if they ever bring that up to try to trade, you trade back into them just as efficiently. So that's not an option for them. So that's a good win against Travis. Round 7 was against Agnes Gill, playing Trample Garb as well. That I can't remember much about that matchup. I remember I 2-0'd him. It's just like a bad matchup for Garbodor, and I think that was how that worked. Round 8 was against Kenny Wisdom, playing Gardevoir. It kind of came down to a slight misplay that Kenny made with some of his sequencing and what have you. The Gardevoir matchups, I will go over it in a bit, but it is a lot closer than you would expect. And then round 9 was against Marvin Lou Banzan from Toronto. He was playing Drampagarb, and like I said, Drampagarb is a very, very good matchup. So I was able to, I think game 1 he like bricked, he started like Trubbish and passed, and I was able to like do crazy things and kill him turn 2, I think. And then to game 2 I just ran him over, I think, if I recall correctly. I really can't remember much. It's been such a blur and I'm really, really tired. So so yeah, that I ended up winning those next 6, going 6-1 and 2. After starting 0-1 and 2, which I was like, cool, I don't care how I do tomorrow. That was in and itself really, really good. Day 2, round 1 was against Malcolm Stornis. He was playing Gardevoir. Game 1 he bricked. Game 2 he beat me. And then game 3 he played a Guzma followed by an N and then shuffled his hand back into his deck. And I felt really bad that I didn't catch it right away. But then he like tried to weasel his way out of it, and I like. It was a flurry of emotions, so it was weird, but he did end up getting a game lost, so I ended up winning that one. And then next round, so that was round 10. Round 11 was against Liam from Seattle. He was playing Gardevoir, and I just did the Bisharp thing. So that was that matchup. I think he also bricked one matchup. I can't remember. And then the next round, round 3 of day 2, was Sam Chen playing Drampagarb, and he was at the top tables, and he was already in at this point, and I wasn't, so I needed to win. But I also could have taken a tie and just won one of my next 2. And he offered to ID right away, and I said, I got a really good matchup, and he's like, all right, that's fine, because he was good either way. Like, he could lose an ID and be in, so he was fine with whatever I wanted to do. But I got off to like a lightning fast start. I was able to kill like a Drampa, kill an Espeon, and I was just like going off. That was like my turn 4. I had taken 4 prizes, and then he ended me, and I just bricked from there on out. I think I like top deck mode for like 10 turns or something like that. I tried to fight it. I was trying for the deck out strategy at one point, but then I didn't realize that he played 4 Guzma, and so that kind of ruined my chances of doing the deck out. But then after that game 1, he offered to tie, because the kind of the logic is that like game 2. Like I said, I have a good matchup, and if I didn't brick, I would have won game 1. So like game 2 probably would have got my favor. Game 3 would have went to time, so he offered to ID again, and I took it at that point just because we both kind of knew what was going on, and Sam's a really cool guy and knew that a tie was not the worst thing in the world, but a loss was for me. So so big ups to Sam there. So I needed one more win. I was sitting at 27 points with 2 to go. One more win, 2 rounds to go. I've liked my odds, but obviously the tournament's still going on and I'm not there. The next round, the second to last round, was against Mark Garcia playing Gardevoir. Game 1, I think I donked him or something. No, I was trying for the tie. No, game 1, he played it exactly how he was supposed to play it with the Gallade and everything, and he also played 2 Max Potion, which really, really hurt me. Yeah, the 2 Max Potion sucked. And then game 2, I was trying cool things. It was a really, really close game. He had 1 prize left, I had 2. So I Guzma upped. I realized that he was out of Guzma, so I Guzma upped his artillery and copied Hug, so he couldn't retreat. And so I was able to start like building up something on the bench. Like I was gonna basically just build something on the bench and hope he misses like a DCE or something. So I did that, hugged, and then the turn I was gonna knock him out with Hug, I end him down to 1, and I was hoping he was gonna miss because he needed 2 energies to knock out my Zoroark BREAK. So he was gonna have to bring that up, and I was just gonna trade like 2 shots basically. But he hit the energies, so he won 2 games there. He played it perfectly. And then the last round of the game was against Sean Timmons again, the guy from round 2 that I tied. So I figured I had a pretty decent go of it, just because we had a really, really close round 2 game, and I was 1 prize away from winning that one. So I was like, yes, here we go. Game 1 was really close. It was another like 1-1 prize situation, and he managed to hit the Guzma when he needed to. If not, I had game in hand next turn. It was one of those ones. And then game 2, I had a perfect start, but then I end myself into 3 choice bands and a Giratina Promo and like 2 other just dead cards, and I top deck mode for 5 turns until I lost. So that's how my day ended. That's how my tournament ended. 8-3-3. Good enough for 15th, so I'm happy with that. But quickly going over deck matchups and what I would change here. Against Gardevoir, pretty simple, obviously. Zoroark, I feel, against Gardevoir has a 70-30 matchup. I think it's very favored into Gardevoir 70 to your 30. It's really, really hard. But with Bisharp, it doesn't necessarily swing it like 70-30 your way. It swings it more to like 60-40 or 55-45 your way. It doesn't actually auto-win the matchup. It just really, really helps. Because basically the idea is you want to be able to hit at least 1 turn of 1 shot on a Gardevoir. If you can get a 1 shot on a Gardevoir any way possible, you're going to win that game. So the Bisharp is where it was. I originally saw a list on Cutter Tap, and that kind of helped me make this one, where he played a 1-1 Gumshoes line, and that was kind of the same sort of philosophy, is that you one-shot with Gumshoes only once. But I didn't like how you're using your GX, since copying GXs are so good, and B, I didn't like how you could only use it once, so that's where the Bisharp came in. I knew there was going to be a lot of Gardevoir, but I didn't realize there was going to be as much Gardevoir as there was. So in future reference, I probably would have played like a 3-2 line. That would have made it more, instead of like 60-40, more close to that 70 as well. Glade is just really hard to deal with. Like, you have to Koko spread it, and that's really hard to do with only 1 floatstone. So like, you have to get knocked out to bring up Tapu Koko, but when you get knocked out, you want to bring up Bisharp. So it's kind of weird. You kind of have to hope you start Koko and then spread 20 everywhere, so that you can shot Glade with either 4 on the bench on their side, or copy Sensitive Blade. It's a very weird matchup, but if you bumped up the Bisharp count and maybe found like a counter for Glade, I'm not sure what that is. Like, honestly, maybe 1 Rainbow Energy so you could attack with Dhelmise, because they can't one-shot Dhelmise because it's resistant to fighting. So that might be like something to consider, just because you're playing Special Charge anyways, so it's really easy to tech in Rainbow Energies. And there's kind of like no reason not to, I guess. So that 10 damage can come in big at times, so that's a reason not to play Rainbows. Anyways, that's how the Guardian matchup works. Volcanion, I didn't play any of it, but basically like you Koko spread to put all of their Volcanions down to 160, and then you can copy their attack for 160 with a choice band, or if they overbench, you can Mind Jack. The big issue there is like dealing with Baby Volk, obviously, because they have to have 4 bench to one-shot it. So if they limit their bench pretty well, then you trade like non-EXs, but they also have to like bench stuff so that they can use Steam Up, and then so they can draw cards. So if they go to like 8 aggro Baby Volk, it's kind of a weird matchup, and that's one like 1 Acerola or 1 Max Potion would really help in, but I really don't know how that matchup would necessarily shake out. I only played 1 game with this deck before, like this list or close to this list even, before the tournament, so I really don't know how Volk would work, like, honestly. Drampa is fairly easy. Espeon's kind of hard to deal with. Most people are playing Espeon and Drampa, so like Espeon's a little bit difficult to deal with. But like, they Psychic you for 70 at most, because you were gonna have like 1 energy on there, maybe 2. So they can't really one-shot you if you play that smart. And copying their attacks and using Psychic and 2-shotting other GXs, and also copying Berserk is real easy. You may be thinking, like, how do you get damage on your bench? Well, they're probably going to bench a Potown, so it's pretty easy to get damage out. The other thing about that matchup is that if they try to go into Garbodor, you can use Bisharp's Retaliate, because if they have Potown, they evolve into Trashalanche, they go down to 90 HP, Bisharp can get a Revenge KO, so you can save your Zoroarks. So Drampa Garb, I think, is a pretty easy matchup. I think it's the best matchup of them all. Golisopod is kind of a weird one. If you Koko spread them and they attach a Rainbow Energy, they put their HP down to 130. So in that scenario, you can copy their GX attack to one-shot them. But the real key to that matchup is if they never Koko spread you and you don't take damage, you can use Zoroark BREAK to copy Armor Press, and that means that they can't one-shot you even with their GX attack. So they're trading 2 shots on a non-EX while you're just shotting them over and over again. Acerola kind of makes that matchup a little bit sketch, but like I said, if you can get at least one-shot off at some point during the game, it's awesome. And if they play the Finny promo, you can Guzma that up and start sniping. You can like snipe Gardevoirs, snipe Kokos, that sort of thing. So that's a really good matchup. Greninja. Greninja, we played the Tina promo, which I didn't play any Greninjas on the day, so it was a useless card. It actually, if I started it, kind of hurt me, because then if I ever broke Evolve, I couldn't rush in or stand in. But that matchup is just like you go early Koko spread, because they're going to have a full bench, and you kind of want to save that full bench, let Mind Jack and one-shot some of their big boys later. And so you just kind of Koko spread to soften everything up, and then you just take either one-shots with Mind Jack, with copying their attacks. You can also copy Shadow Stitching if your Tina's prized. So that matchup's, I think, fairly easy. You don't really rely too much on abilities, so you just let them set up, you Koko spread everything to oblivion, and then you just take one-shots. So I think that matchup's fairly easy, but who knows. Vikabulu is also easy because you can copy their regular attack for 180, which is shotting Bulus with. So that's cool. You just got to get the breaks out, and that's part of the problem, is that if they hit that turn 2 Vikavolt, they're going to be going faster than you, and if they can just like Lysander Zoroarks all day, you can never get into that break, and that's kind of an issue. So that matchup's tricky, but I think it's in your favor. What?
Talk about armor spreading against armor pressing against Guzma.
Have you not been listening?
Oh,
Peanut Gallery over there. So Vikabulu. You can also like Guzma up their Vikavolt if that's the only one on the field and copy their attack. You only have to discard the 1 energy and you shot them, so that's also fun and interesting. Ninetales is pretty much free. A 1 Koko spread puts them into range of copying their attack for 190, and Bisharp you can shot them, so like Ninetales is just like an easy win. It's just a layup. And then the last like kind of meta deck I think is Metagross, if that's still being played, and you get bodied by that deck. There is no real chance to beat Metagross, just because they have like max potion and stuff, and if they only like bench 3, you're like 3-shotting them, like maybe Choice Band in there, like it's a horrible matchup. I don't think there's really a way to swing it, like unless you play like 1 Turtonator, but at that point like you're just getting stupid, I guess. I don't know. That could be a consideration. So that's the meta. Quickly looking over cards that I hated and cards that I liked. I really wanted Reverse Valley, and the reason being that I wanted Reverse Valley is there was a lot of instances where I was 10 damage short on something. For instance, Galissapod. You can spread 20, but if they don't attach that Rainbow Energy, you're going to be short. Especially hitting. The other thing is like if they're clean, or if they attach just a Rainbow Energy without a spread, they're at 200 HP. And so if they fill their bench up, like Galissapods like to do, I guess, you can shot them that way with a Reverse Valley. Copying Koko is hard to do if you don't spread it, because you're only doing 100 with Electric Ball. So being able to take a one-shot there with Reverse Valley would be really, really nice. Gardevoir, there's a lot of chances where you're 10 short. Obviously, like you could cut the Dhelmise in that scenario. So Gardevoir would help your Bisharps there. And then there's like one other scenario that is like really, really important. I mean, I guess Koko spread against a Baby Volk and then copying their second attack for 110. So I think the stadium is actually kind of like super needed. So the way I would look at it, if this, I'm just adding over 60 cards, here would be all the cards that I would want. I would want the extra 1/1 Bisharp line. Oops, looks like I don't have one of those. I would want a 1/1 Bisharp line. Oh, sorry. Yeah, extra 1/1. So you go to 3/2 Bisharp. I think that's like the correct way of going about it. 4 for 3 there, 1 Dhelmise. I could cut the Tina if you're not expecting too much Ninja, but who knows? There's a Ninja that might walk to the win today. 4 Guzma I think is like super needed. So there is that. And then I would try to find room for at least, at least like 2, maybe even 3 Reverse Valleys. And that's where I currently like the list at, and that puts it to 65 cards, and that's kind of scary. Oranguru was actually super, super nice. Not for Instruct, but for Psychic. Psychic helped me out a lot this round, or today. I think the one of Floatstone is kind of useless. I manually retreated a lot. It never really saved me in a lot of situations. I think either 0 or 2 is the option. Like, if you want to play it, then play 2. If you don't want to play it, then play 0. Like, I went with 1 because I was like, let's play safe, and it was just useless. So I would cut that. There's no way to get back dark energies, so like playing less than 7 just scares the crap out of me. If you're playing Reverse Valley, you could cut Dhelmise, but the problem with Dhelmise, or cutting the Reverse Valleys, is that like Dhelmise sticks. Like, you bench a Dhelmise and it's there. They're never gonna like Lysander that thing up. Whereas Reverse Valley can get Field Blower, can get Counter Stadium, can get all this stuff. So if you end up with like 1 in your hand, but you're not ready to Bisharp yet, it gets really, really scary. So that's why I liked Dhelmise. But yeah, it's really hard to find room for it. You probably would want to jump back down to 3 Guzmas just to find room. And now you're at 63 cards, like just shaving like really a lot of stuff. You could maybe either cut a Koko. You could go to 3-1 Bisharp. That doesn't sound the worst. So that's kind of a weird thing to think about. I would never change the Zoroark line. I think 443 is perfect. The one special charge, like, it was nice, but maybe you could cut the special charge, especially if you're not playing Rainbows. DZs are important, but I ended up foul playing a whole bunch, so maybe even special charge could be cut. That puts you to 62. The Field Blower was super, super needed, especially for Parallel, but fighting Fury Belts. Like, you need it for fighting Fury Belts. But I mean, you could convince me to drop the Field Blower, and now you're down to 61. So, frick, I don't know. Also, I think 1 Bridgette's fine. That's like a thing. I'll cut to 3-1. We'll cut to 3-1 Poniard Bisharp line. There you go. There's your new list. I think that's a lot better. So that's what, like 5 card change. I think this list would make me happier as a person. Who knows? Anyways, thanks for watching, guys. If you have any questions, please let me know. Remember to check out U150 and all that fun stuff. Thanks for watching.